really excited today for this webinar, Catapult Your Business as Interest Rates Rise and Markets Shift, featuring, of course, Richard Robbins, who's all ready and set to go. I know I have my notebook out. I hope you have your notebook out, because I guarantee there's going to be a lot of good stuff in this. There always is when Richard Robbins comes out. Now, I encourage you to keep chatting. I love seeing it. We got some people from Ottawa, Mississauga, Tsawwassen, BC. Oh, we are all over the map today, which is absolutely fantastic. I love this. And I encourage you guys to, keep chatting. Love to hear it. Ask some questions. I will be asking questions near the end, time permitting. And, if you want, love getting likes on videos, love seeing subscribes. I'm always happy to see that. And also, sometimes I'll tell people, and we send in the email afterwards. We always record these. We always send them out as a copy. But, if you know somebody who could benefit from watching this, don't be afraid to share it out. I'd love to see some of that. I know we like to keep things close to our chest. I do as well. But anyways, all right, I'm going to stop taking up my time. Now, I want to remind you of our promise to you, and that's that Royal LePage will help you maximize your earning potential by providing you with powerful business tools, access to leads and referrals, and training for all stages of your career that builds your skills. We've done sales success webinars on a huge variety of topics, and what we're really trying to do is help you enhance your sales development and learn from industry experts. We've also redone our webinar library. So our webinar library looks like this now. You can go in there if you want to find just the webinars that Richard Robbins has done. You can click on presenter, click it down, and actually see just the ones that Richard Robbins has done. This one here, by the way, Productivity Simplified. Richard, you delivered that one for us, I think, earlier in the year. I think it was in March or February, and that one was an awesome webinar. And I even recommend people around here at the office, I say, go watch it because it was really motivating. So,
thank you.
It was awesome. And without that, of course, I want to introduce Richard Robbins, our speaker for the day. Now, he's best described by his audiences as a true leader with lots and lots of integrity. He's led his organization for nearly 2 decades as one of North America's most preeminent authorities on real estate sales and business performance. We were just talking, actually, just before this webinar, we had to tell some people who were installing carpet as their office grows to quiet down. So things are going well over there. You can see here on the slide, it's a global sales and business coaching organization. And Richard comes with experience from a wide variety of industries, which is really awesome to bring that in. And again, it's awesome to bring that in for us and send it out over the webinar waves all across Canada. I mean, Richard, if you could see the chat right now, I got Vancouver, Toronto, Windsor, Oakville, Fredericton, Chilliwack. We are all over the map. And one thing I really want to encourage all of you guys is to check out Richard Robbins, their Facebook page. And you'll see here down at the bottom, facebook.com/official Richard Robbins. They've been putting up some really awesome content and videos lately, and kind of videos on what's going on and what's happening. But what is really cool is Richard talks a lot about how you should be speaking about it, how you should be informing your audience. And I mean, really giving you great coaching tips on what you should be doing and how you should be relaying this information in your market, because in your market, you're the expert. So definitely check that out, facebook.com/official Richard Robbins. And of course, I'll remind everybody that Richard Robbins International is one of our official training partners. So with that said, I will introduce Richard Robbins to everybody. Rich, thanks for joining in.
Thank you, Michael. Boy, what a great introduction. My mom would be so proud if she heard you say all that about me.
I'll give her a call.
That's right. Boy, my son wanted me to introduce you. Okay, anyway, to him. Yes, to him. Anyway, so great to be with everybody today. I think this is our 3rd this year, so if you're back for a 2nd time, welcome. Thank you for being with us. It's always my pleasure to be with you. So here's what I want to do today. Today is going to be relatively tactical because my goal is I want to bring you some information and ideas that you can actually use in the marketplace. Now, I think we can all agree, I'm Canadian. I live just north of Toronto. I study all the Canadian markets every month. So what I'm most concerned is what's happening in the real estate industry so that I can best coach and help the people that we work with on a daily basis when market starts to shift. Now, I've been in many shifting markets. I was in real estate in 1989 when, it just stopped. February of '89, I'll never forget it. The market was just like somebody turned the tap off one day. It changed so quickly. My first house, I was 21 years old. I paid 17 3/4% interest rate. mortgage rate, I should say. Right now, you're probably saying, if you did that, why should I be listening to you? You don't sound very bright. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So I think we can all agree on one thing. I think there is change ahead for all of us. If you look what's happened so far this year in real estate, we've had the interest rate, the Bank of Canada rate bump up twice by 1/4 of a point. Some people suspected it was going to happen again, in September, but it didn't, which is good. But I think there's one thing we all know to be true is if rates are going to go anyway, they're probably going to go up over the next little while. Now, the reason for that, and then I'll give you some dialogues on how you can work with your clients on this, but obviously the reason for it is our economy is doing very well. Our unemployment is very low. Our GDP is strong. The second quarter, the GDP was 4.5%. Our inflation rate is below 2%, well under control. So, of course, the Bank of Canada, they look at it and they say they don't want inflation to grow too fast, so they will start bumping up the rates. Now, we could debate whether that is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm a little bit pro on that side only because I want to see a good, healthy market, but I don't want to see a market out of control. And then we can look at some other things that have happened as well. In April of this year, we had the foreign buyer tax in Toronto. August of the year before, we had that in Vancouver. Obviously, oil prices had a great effect on Alberta a while ago. So there's just a lot going on right now in the market. And also, I think with our new stress testing, which is going to get even stronger in probably January of next year, based on, I was talking to a bank yesterday, and their governing body has already sent out a memo that they're going to be making some changes to that, which means basically people, have to approve for a higher rate than they're actually paying. And so far, the stress testing has been more on the high ratio side, but that's going to be changing, probably in conventional mortgages as well. So these are some things that are happening, and that's what I mean by change. But I think what's important to us all, and I get a little, comic for you here, is that which doesn't kill us will obviously just make us stronger. So the challenge, I think, especially in Canada, is we've had a good market for a very long time. If you look at a lot of markets across Canada, the market's been very strong. Now, Eastern Canada, not as much. I know it's been a little slower out there. But if you look really from Ottawa moving west, other than the blip we had with Alberta oil prices, and it's recovered fairly well, is we've had a very strong market. And a lot of people that have gotten real estate in the last 10 years, they've never had to work in a changing market where inventory starts to rise. So then the question is, what is our new reality? Okay, so I want to give you some real numbers as to what's happening in the market right now. So if you go across Canada and you look at months of inventory, now this is something that I study, and I want you to understand this because to me, this is a type of communication you need to start having with buyers and sellers. So if we go right across Canada and we look what's going on, you can see Montreal's operating about 7.8 months of inventory. Now, Montreal in September just came off probably the best month of September I think they've had in 8 or 9 years. So even though they got 7.8, their market has been getting stronger, where Nova Scotia is operating with about 7 months of inventory. And then you got Edmonton at 5.9, Calgary 4.7, Ottawa 4.0, Vancouver 3.3, and Toronto 3.0. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other markets that are not there, but you can figure that out by going to your board and having a look at their numbers. But what does this mean? So what's months of inventory? Well, obviously, months of inventory is going to determine your supply and demand. And supply and demand is going to determine prices. Are they going up? Are they going down? Or are they balanced? So the question is, how many months of inventory do we need to have a balanced market? And the number is right around 5. So if we're operating with 5 months of inventory, that means that we've got a balanced market. We get above that, chances are prices are probably softening a little bit. And below that, they're probably going up. And of course, for quite a while, Toronto had 1 month of inventory, back before the foreign buyer tax in Vancouver, same thing, 1 month of inventory, and prices were going up with multiple offers and everything. Now, one thing I do want to clarify here, when I say months of inventory, I'm talking that's all residential properties in the board. But then there's what I call micro markets. And this is going to be key for you in your communications when you're sitting down with buyers and sellers. So a micro market could be property type, could be a condo. So in other words, if you say, well, Toronto's got 3 months of inventory, but if I look at condos, we've actually only got 2 months of inventory of condos. And then if I look at detached, we've got 4 months of inventory. If I look at detached over $2 million, we get up around 6 months of inventory. So sometimes you got to break it down geographically or break it down in a certain property type based on who you're talking to as a buyer and a seller. Now, the big question everybody says, well, how do you determine months of inventory? Very simple. All it is take the active listings at the end of the month. So I got the active listings for the end of September in all of the markets I just showed you. And of course, I divide into that how many sales took place. So if I had 10,000 listings and I had 5,000 sales, that means I have 2 months of inventory. Okay, if I had 1,000 listings and I had 250 sales, I've got 4 months of inventory. So everybody can figure that out by studying your market. And this is what I call market intelligence. And I believe today, market intelligence, you having market intelligence, is more important than ever before. Now, the reason I say that, if we look today at the average buyer or the average seller, the average buyer, the average seller today, they think they know as much as you. And some of them think they know more than you. And the reason is because of their access to information. So if we want to raise our professionalism, and if we want to be able to have valuable conversations with people where they have the opportunity to discover that there's a lot of things they don't know, then we need to have market intelligence to share with them so they have these discoveries. Because I don't know how many people are online right now, but you know, if you're sitting in front of me, and let's say there was 500 people in front of me, and I said, how many people know the months of inventory of condos in their market? If I ask that question, maybe 2 or 3 hands will go up. What's the months of inventory detached or semi-detached or a certain geographical area? You know, very few people know that number, and we need to know that number. I believe that our market intelligence today, what we understand about the market, can be our great separator because it allows us to have valuable conversations. And I'm going to show you what I mean as we move forward. So I'm going to give you a few ideas here. I think I got 4 or 5 ideas. So I wanted to share that first because that is sort of the nucleus, I guess, of what it is I want to share today. So idea number 1, if we're in a shifting market, then what we need to do is, first thing we need to do is sharpen our skills. Okay, so we have to make sure that we're getting better at what it is we're doing, because if a market starts to shift, and let's say it gets smaller. So let's say the pie, as an example, is 1,000 sales. That's what the pie is. And each real estate agent is getting a little piece of the pie, right? So they're getting 2 sales, 4 sales, whatever the number is. Well, if the market shrinks, so Toronto is an example, in the month of September, the market was down by 35%. So we did 35% less sales in September than we did September of the previous year. And we had over 60% more listings. Well, that is a changing market. But saying that, we still only have 3 months of inventory, which, believe it or not, is still a very, very, very healthy market. Slightly more balanced, but still very healthy. But a lot of people don't see it as healthy because they think normal is 1 month of inventory where you get multiple offers and everything. And that's not true. So right across Canada, as we start to see interest rates go up a little and we start to see stress testing get tougher, all of our markets, the pie is probably going to shrink a little bit. Well, if the pie is going to shrink, and if we as agents want to maintain our market share or grow our market share, that means we have to figure out a way to get a bigger piece of the pie because the pie is smaller, right? So if the pie is smaller, then we've got to get better at what we do. So what we need to do is we say, okay, I need to sharpen my skills. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So Jim Rohn, who was probably the most influential mentor of my life, I always remember he said this. I was down in Dallas when I heard him say this, like a long time ago. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but he said, we must either magnify our skills or modify our dreams. Now, if you think about the real estate industry as a whole, and I was licensed in 1985, when I got my license, they taught me nothing about selling. And when you got your license, they taught you nothing about selling. So they didn't teach anything about how to negotiate, how to do a business plan, how to lead gen, how to lead convert, right? You know, how to qualify a lead, how to do a listing presentation, how to effectively show property, time management, financial management. They didn't teach any of that stuff. So the challenge is a lot of people in our industry, they have a license, and when you get a license, they've taught you how to stay out of jail, which, by the way, is a really good thing, right? Because we sure don't need any lawsuits or anything like that. But they didn't teach you your skills. They didn't teach you how to build a business. And as salespeople, that's one of the first things we need to learn. So if we need to magnify our skills, then the question is, what is sales? You know, exactly what is it? What is the definition of sales? Well, sales is influence. See, sales is your ability to influence another human being. And what you want to do is you want to influence another human being to make a decision that is in their best interest. Because if sales is influence, sales is your ability to influence somebody else, and you say, well, what is a salesperson's objective? Well, a salesperson's objective is to assist somebody in making a decision that will best serve them. Now, let's think about this for a moment. If that is the case, then do buyers and sellers make the wrong decision? Do they choose the wrong agent? Do they choose an unprofessional agent? Do they choose an agent that doesn't produce great results? Do they make wrong decisions in terms of the price they pay or the price they take? And I think we could all agree that they quite often do, not all of the time. And so then the question is, well, did they want to make the wrong decision? Of course, nobody wants to make the wrong decision. What's interesting is people, they hate being sold, right? But people love to buy. People are excited about buying stuff, right? But they hate being sold something. So to me, a great salesperson, it's not somebody that's, you know, one of those fast-talking, greasy-looking salespeople. That's not what I'm talking about. It is somebody that has the ability to influence another human being by sharing, okay, real and pertinent information that will give them all the information they need to make the best decision for them. That's your job. It's even my job right now speaking to you. See, my job is to try to present you with information that hopefully will allow you to make better decisions so that you can do more business, right? So you can do more sales, so you can help more people. So I want to show you, a lot of people think interest rates are high. And if you think about this, you think about right now, because interest rates have bumped up a little bit, a lot of buyers are going, well, it's not a good time to buy. Well, interest rates are up, right? Or if you're, say, in Toronto, maybe Vancouver, maybe Alberta, especially the East Coast, well, you know, prices they seem to be going down in certain areas. Like the market's different than it was because there's a shift, right? There's a shift taking place. So that creates uncertainty. Well, they think, well, prices are going to go down, then I better wait. You know, interest rates have gone up, I better wait. But if we go back and if we look historically, and this, what you see on screen right now is something that you all can go to the internet and download. I just went on the internet and I think I punched in historic rates for the last 25 years or something. And if you look at this historically, even today, we're really sitting at super low rates, like super, super low rates, because go back and look. So if you had a document like this right here, and this is how you influence people, and if you would show this to potential buyers or even potential sellers, and you show them that actually right now, it is a great time to be buying. And here's why it's a great time to be buying, because I think we can all agree that if interest rates are going to go anyway, they're going to go up, which means the rate you can get right now is probably the lowest you're going to get in the foreseeable future. So I can take advantage of that. And you could do some math to dollarize what a quarter point bump means if it did go up a quarter point later this year, next year, over the term of a 5-year mortgage. You could do the math on that and go, that's a lot of money, okay? And just have a look at it and show them the difference. So this here is a document that will allow them to influence, because when rates go up, everybody thinks they're high, but they're actually not high. They're still historically low. And this is what we need to do. We want to influence somebody. We need to produce evidence, right? And never tell them what you can show them. So I could do a webinar, it's just me talking, but the minute you see it, I think it assists me in influencing you deeper, right? So you see it, you believe it because you see some evidence there. And then the next visual I created for you is that even if you look, because you always want to be showing them something, you say, well, is it a good time to buy? Well, yes, it's a good time to buy, because even if you're in a market, right, where prices are, say, softening, and I'm not saying all markets are softening, you know, some might be going up. Well, where's the best time to buy? Well, it's the best time to buy is when they're softening, right? Now, people say, well, I want to wait till it hits bottom. And I go, well, good luck figuring that one out, because you don't know it hit bottom until it starts going back up, right? So if you look at that chart, you say, okay, prices have been going up, and all of a sudden they just soften for a little while. Well, if you were Warren Buffett and the stock market crashes, when's Warren Buffett buying? He's buying when nobody else is buying. And that's why prices are going down, because nobody else is buying, or less people are buying. Like I said, we had Toronto 35% less sales, right? Because it's going to turn around and go back up. It always does. So now you could take advantage right now, depending on what you're buying, that maybe you can get a decent price. Or if prices are still going up, the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you, right? So I'm just suggesting to you that what you want to do is you want to become known for what it is you know, not what it is that you want to sell. That's the big secret to me. Make sure that you can communicate market intelligence to people by using factual numbers that your real estate board provides. And maybe what you do, you string them out historically. You could do January right through till the end of September and show them all the numbers, show them which way the market's going, show them average prices going this way, days in markets going this way, percentage of list price. The houses are selling for what percentage of list price. You could show them that number. Maybe it was 98%, and get some information where now you can sit down and have highly valuable conversations with people, so that they have all the information they have to start making decisions that will best serve them. And if you do that, you'll become a trusted advisor. Now, I'm going to show you a video in a second, but there's a gentleman that works for Royal LePage. His name is Tom Story. Now, Tom Story started in real estate when he was 21 years old. And this is just a cool story. So anyway, Tom, I happen to know Tom's girlfriend's parents. They're my neighbors. And so I'll give you a bit of the background, because it's sort of funny. So my daughter is friends with Tom's girlfriend. They grew up together on our street. Well, I'm out for dinner with my neighbors, right, one night, and they said, our daughter, Brianna, is going out with a real estate agent from Royal LePage. And I said, really? And they said, his name is Tom Story. And I said, that's really cool. And they said, well, Tom Story, he thinks you're like the real estate guru or something, right? And I started laughing. I said, well, that's great. And they said, actually, Brandon and Tom are at our house right now. When we finish dinner, could we go back and just stop in and say hi? And I said, I'd be glad to, right? So anyway, we go back, and I go in and I sit down with Tom, and you can see this blank stare in his face when I showed up, probably wondering what I'm going to ask him or what I'm doing there. And so anyway, this was his first year. He had just sort of finished his first year. So I'm sitting there, and I said, hey, congratulations, I hear you're in real estate. And he got a university degree first, but in his 4th year of university, he got his real estate license, and he always wanted to be a realtor. But his parents said he had to get a degree first. Well, so he got his degree, 4th year, he gets his real estate license, and he starts selling real estate. Now, his very first year, he sold 3 homes. So, of course, I'm sitting beside him. He's just finished his first year, and I said to him, so how was your first year? He said, oh, it was pretty good. I said, well, how many homes did he sell? And he said, 3. And, of course, I go, 3? I said, what did you do the other 51 weeks of the year? Like, you could have done that in 1 week, right? And he goes, well, I know it was a bit of a struggle, but I did some leases and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sitting there, and I says, well, tell me, how you generating leads? He didn't really know, right? How do you qualify a lead, right? What's your day look like? Do you have a schedule? And I'm just sitting there having a little fun with him, right? And I said, Tom, honestly, I said, the challenge you're having is, not that you can't sell real estate, you just don't know how. You haven't been trained how. I said, there's a system for everything. There's a system for generating leads from open houses, a system for getting more referrals. There's a system for geographical farming, right? There's a system for qualifying a lead on the phone. There's a system for lead follow-up on an internet lead. I said, there's systems for everything. There's, we have templates for listing presentations, buyer presentations. Like, that's what we do as a company, right? We've coached like tens of thousands of people over the last 20 years that we've been in business. And I said, you just have to understand that you've got to go out and you've got to learn. You got to create a system. So anyway, he gets all excited about it, starts coming to all our events, because now he just started to absorb it because he got it, right? And then you can look at his production. Then he went to 14, then he went to, 22. And as of last week, when I was getting ready for this webinar, he's sitting at 26 deals with a goal to get to 34. And I think we could all agree that they're pretty good numbers. And he works in downtown Toronto, where the average sale price obviously is fairly high, the second highest in Canada. So anyway, you can see his business has grown. And Tom has become probably the most coachable person I've ever met. So what I want to do is, he gets the idea of communicating market intelligence. So what I want to do is, I want to show you a quick video. And what he does is, he does something called the story report that he does every single month. And the one, I'm going to show you the one from August. and the one from September just came out. So you could go to his website or his YouTube channel or his social media sites, and you can find the other one. But have a look at this video, and so you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'll sort of summarize it for you.
Welcome back to the August edition of the Story Report. My name's Tom Story.
And I'm Cam Wolford.
And this is your monthly report filling you in on what's happening in the Toronto real estate market. Well, in August, the average price point out of all sales happening in the GTA was $732,000. That number's up 3% from at the same point in August of 2016.
Now, this amounted to about 6,350 sales, which is worth noting that's down about a third from the same point last year. Something that's also worth noting, though, is that there's actually less new listings available. This is the first time that this has happened, down 6.5% for the same point last year.
So let's look at different property types. In the detached home market, your average price point in the 416 was still $1.2 million. And when we look at the semi-detached market, we're at $895,000. Something to keep in mind is that the detached home market, for the first time in almost a year, year over year, was actually slightly down. But when we look at semi-detached properties, we're still up 15%.
Right, now looking over at townhomes, they're actually up at 680,000, whereas condos are at 540. Now this represents an increase of 11% and 20.9% year over year, which we continue to see small month-over-month gains with.
We have 2.58 months of inventory in Toronto, which means we are still sitting in a seller's market. What that basically means is if everyone today said, I'm no longer going to list my property, it would take almost 2.5 months to sell out the whole market. However, we almost have two different markets happening in one. The detached home market, it's swaying more towards a balance to buyer's market, but with semi-detached, townhomes, and condos, we're still very much in a seller's market.
Now, it is worth noting yesterday that the government raised their key interest rate a quarter point. You may be asking yourself, what does that mean for me as a real estate investor, owner, or potential buyer? Well, the fact is that you should be talking to your mortgage agent about what it means for your personal mortgage and how that's going to affect you going forward. But the surprising thing that you may not realize about this is that the government actually believes that our economy is doing better than we thought it was, which is why they raised the lending rates to more normal rates.
Now, it is now fall in Toronto. TIFF is starting today. We're super excited about going seeing a bunch of movies. Thank you so much for watching this edition of the Story Report, and we will see you next month.
Okay, great. Now I know because we played the video on a webinar, if you go on a site, you can watch it and the sound obviously is perfect. Now that's his partner is Cam. That's not his partner actually, that's his assistant Cam beside him there. But they do that every month. But they also do shorter videos that are videos about how you can get more money for your house, or the best way to prepare your home when you're going to put it on the market, or, you know, how to get pre-qualified for a mortgage. Like little videos that they throw out all the time. That's not about them. They're not trying to be sort of the selfie central here. What they're trying to do is provide valuable information to the marketplace. And I think you would agree by watching that video, you're probably thinking, well, boy, that guy sort of knows what he's talking about, right? So if you're a potential buyer or seller, this is great marketing, okay? And that's what I call market intelligence, okay? So anyway, the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to study the market on a regular basis. And what we want to do is make sure that we can communicate a message that's very valuable, okay, to buyers and sellers. Okay, so then idea number 2 in terms of working in the market that I put together for you. So something we need to do as the market changes, remember, if we need to take a larger percentage of the market because we have a sort of a changing, shifting, or maybe shrinking market, well, we've got to generate more leads. We got to be way better at lead generation. But when I say lead generation, I think what's really critical is we get very creative in the way we're going to generate leads. Because attention, if you think about this, everybody, I believe that today, attention is the new currency. Like, it is hard for us to get people's attention. We're also distracted, right, by our phones. Like, we're sitting all day long and our face is stuck in these things right here. You know, we're scrolling down our social media feeds. You know, 51% of the time people spend on their phone, they're spending it on social media. And I think you would agree that's generally not posting valuable content. It's probably looking at everybody else's lives. Well, all of us are busy today. So when it comes to marketing today, you got to be really creative, because if you're going to send out a video, if you're going to send an email, you're going to send a text, you're going to call somebody, you're going to knock on somebody's door, by God, you better have something valuable to get their attention. Because if you don't, you're not going to get their attention. They don't have time for it. So I want to give you a couple cool little ideas that some of our coaching members and our attendees are using. Now, the first one I'm going to show you, this is from one of our clients down in Maryland, okay, down in the US. And you'll notice that he's got a little whiteboard, and you're going to notice my name's on it. But he created this for me because I wanted to use this to show you how you can generate more leads, because he sends out 20 of these every single week. So have a look at this.
Hey there, Rich. Good afternoon. It's Nathan. I want to reach out to you because I've got a lot of people come to me with questions of what is going on in this marketplace. Well, yes, there is something going on in this marketplace. We're in a bit of a transition. It's not all that bad. What we've done is we've corrected ourselves from 1 month's worth of inventory being extremely competitive, now transitioning quickly to this 3 months worth of inventory. Now, when you look at that, you say, well, Nathan, that's almost twice as much inventory as what we had previously seen, which is correct. It's not all that bad. 3 months of inventory still shows an extremely strong marketplace. So for if you or if you know of anybody looking to buy right now, it could not be a better time to do that. We've got a lot of sellers that their expectations were that they're only going to have their house on the market for maybe 4 or 5 days at best. And now they're seeing their houses sit on the market for 25 plus days. When they see that, they think something might be wrong. So it creates a great opportunity for anybody that you may know or yourself looking to buy here in the near future. And now for those sellers, this is a transition. But what we know is no matter what market we're in, people will always be buying or selling houses. Now it's just the time that you have to get a little more realistic in regards to how it is you price your home and making sure that they align themselves with the right agents to ensure they do get top dollar and exposed to as many people as possible. So Rich, as always, if I can ever be to a resource to you, your family, your friends, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can contact me on email below or just call me directly on my cell. Rich, have a great day. I look forward to catching up with you and Sue at the next event. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, good stuff. So, that's Nathan Dart, and I said he's down in Maryland. Now, what he does is he sends out 20 of those every week. Now, when the market shifts, he did that for me. You notice he had a whiteboard that said, "Hi, Rich." Now, imagine, and that's called a bomb video is what he's using here. So you can purchase that. It's an annual subscription. But the cool thing about BombBomb, when somebody opens the video, you're notified that they actually opened the video, which is sort of a cool thing, right? Or you can just, do a video on your phone. Totally up to you how you want to do it. But he uses this if a market shifts. He uses this if there's no inventory and he's got a whole bunch of buyers. He'll send out these to everybody that he knows. He'll send these out in the spring and the fall, offering complimentary market evaluations, which I think is a really cool idea. But every week he's sending out 20 of these videos with that little whiteboard that he writes the person's name. So when they get the email or the text that contains a video, they see their names on it. Of course they're going to open it. So it's innovative marketing, and it got somebody's attention. The other reason, video today I think is a huge play, everybody, because if you look at communication is made up of 7% words, 38% tonality, and 55% facial and body expression. That's communication. And this is why video is so powerful, because when you watch that video of Nathan, I would suggest you got a feel for him, right? You're going, seems like a decent guy, seems to really care, he's got a nice smile. So you got a feeling for his personality, right? If you send somebody a text, and I bet you've sent somebody a text and they thought you were mad, right? Because you're doing it in a hurry. That's because you only had 7% of your ability to communicate. You pick up the phone, you go to 45% of your ability to communicate, because now you have the spoken word or the text, and you have tonality, right? But the minute you add video, you have 100% of your ability to communicate. Another way that I think you can generate leads today, because we need to generate more, remember, pie's getting smaller, is texting. And here's why. It says that 90% of text are read in 2 minutes. Now, I know a lot of people are still sending all kinds of emails, and emails has its place, don't get me wrong. But from a marketing standpoint, unless you're going to attach a video to an email, and I'm talking marketing now, I think you're better to text somebody. Because if 90% of text are read in 2 minutes, we know that not 90% of emails are read in 2 minutes. That means they're going to see it. It's going to get somebody's attention. So imagine if you did this. You create a little script, right? And maybe you send out 5 a day. So maybe you send out a script that says, I just want you to know, John and Mary, the market's experienced significant change over the last little while. You've probably been reading about it in the newspapers. Please know I'm here to answer any questions. Or maybe, you're going to send a text like this. It's going to say something else. Hey, John and Mary, hope you and the kids are doing really, really well. Haven't talked in quite a while. I know right now we're moving into the fall. A lot of people interested to know what their house is worth. And if you're interested, I'd be glad to stop by and give you a free market evaluation. Something like that. and just do it by text. So imagine if you did this in terms of generating. This is a really simple thing to do. We call it here at our company the triple play. And what the triple play is, we say, okay, if we know that one of our great responsibilities as salespeople is to prospect and market and generate leads every day. Because what we do know, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the number one reason that a real estate agent will fail or not succeed at the level of desire is their inability to generate new leads. Bottom line, right? So imagine if every single day, 5 days a week, if we sent, say, 5 videos, we sent 5 texts, and we made 5 phone calls, what would happen to our business? Like, it would be astounding. Like when our coaching members, or people that come to our events, when we get them to do this, you look at Tom's story, this is what he's doing, and you see all the deals he's doing. Now, you might say, well, 5's a lot. That's fine. Start wherever you want. Maybe you just commit to 1 video, 1 text, and 1 phone call a day for the first week. And the second week, maybe you go to 2. But the triple plays, you got to do all 3, right? Because now you're doing 3 different ways to market to your audience. And this could be following up with leads, staying in touch with your past clients, whatever the case is. So develop your own triple play and then commit to that, especially now, we're in mid-October, right? And the year's quickly coming to an end. And I can promise you this, all of the hard work you between now and the end of the year, it'll get you more business for sure, but it's also going to set up next year. Because real estate generally, your business will start to come, okay, from the work you did 60 and 90 days before, right? You start prospecting now, start working the internet leads now. Well, a lot of those, nothing happens for, say, 60 or 90 days. So the work you do over the next couple months will determine how quickly you start next year, okay? So let's move on to idea number 3. I think I got 5 ideas for you here. What idea was it? Okay, very good. Number 3, focus on setting a face-to-face appointment every day. So again, as the market shifts, things change. Phones aren't as busy, right? There's not as much going on sometimes. So what we got to do is we got to be more proactive with things. So becoming proactive, I would suggest one thing you want to focus on is every day say, how can I get an appointment today? How can I get face-to-face? Because your level of success is going to be determined by how many people you get face-to-face with. Let's face it, you don't get face-to-face, you're not doing a lot of deals. Maybe you're selling a rental property to somebody that lives in a different city. That's all possible. But I mean, generally speaking, we got to get face-to-face. Now, I call these the big 5. Here's your big 5. So when it comes to appointments, here's your big 5. Number 1 is a listing appointment. That's an appointment. Number 2 is a CMA or a market evaluation. Number 3 is a new buyer appointment. This is where you meet with a new buyer, do a needs analysis. 4th would be a showing, okay, property appointment, and then getting a price adjustment if you have an overpriced listing that's been on the market too long. So imagine if what you did, every morning you go to the office and they say that our focus will become our reality. They say that we will find what it is we're looking for. So when you go to the office in the morning or when you get up and you start work in the morning, what exactly are you trying to achieve? Like, think about what is the goal of that day, right? Well, I think the goal of that day should be to set an appointment. Somehow, some way. Now, I know I've got to service my business and I've got to look after, maybe some waivers or stay in touch with this person. I get all of that. You got to do all that, but that's servicing. See, it's the generation of leads where we fall apart, right? Like servicing, yeah, most people are good at servicing, but there's a big difference between being really good at servicing business and being a really good salesperson, right? Like a customer service rep doesn't make a lot of money, but a great salesperson does. So I look at it and say, so if you went to work, the first thing you did in the morning, think about this. You go, okay, where can I get an appointment today? Just ask yourself that question, right? Where can I get an appointment today? That doesn't mean you have to go on the appointment today. It just means you got to book an appointment today. So maybe it's for tomorrow, maybe it's for next week, whatever the case is. And because you ask yourself that question, your mind will go to work to find you the answer. See, if you said, how can I get an appointment today? How can I get an appointment today? And then maybe you look at your schedule, you look at your leads, you look at everything. And what you will do is you will go to the best place to get an appointment because now you're trying to figure out where to get an appointment. And if you would try to set one appointment, imagine if you did a face-to-face appointment 5 days a week, what would happen to your business? I don't care what goes on in the market. right? I don't care. And by the way, the market's still good, but I don't even care if the market crashes, which I don't think it will. But if you did that every day, you're making a lot of money because you're outperforming the competition, right? You're outperforming the market because everybody else is going to sit back. Well, let's wait and see what's going to happen. Well, geez, I hope the market's good next year, and that's what a lot of people do. They shut down. I say, you don't shut down, you got to turn it up, right? When things are tough, that's when we got to get up and we really got to get going. And that's what separates the good from the great. So first thing in the morning, think to yourself, where can I get an appointment today? Make those phone calls, send those emails, go see people. And if you could get yourself in front, okay, of somebody every single day, you're going to make an absolute fortune. Okay, so just think about that. The next thing, idea number 4, second last idea, is create a productive schedule and follow it. Now, this is difficult for many, especially in the real estate industry. But this, again, is what's going to separate you from everybody else. Here's what's interesting. Most people don't have a schedule. They just wake up and they just what? They just start doing it. They look at their to-do list, they start knocking things off. But what we need to do is we need to schedule blocks of time. So I'll bring up a slide and it'll show you a schedule. And this is just an example of one could look like. So you look at it and you literally take a 7-day schedule. Now, you notice there's no addresses in there. All I'm doing is I'm writing in when I'm going to do certain things. So maybe what I do is say, okay, 8 to 9, that's my family time, get the kids off to school, whatever the case is. And then maybe you say every day from 9 to 11, all I'm going to do is business generation. Like I'm going to send my videos, I'm going to send my texts, I'm going to make some phone calls. And my goal in that period of time is to set an appointment, right? And then 11 to 12, return calls, clean stuff up, do what I got to do. Then I have a little lunch. And then every day from 1 to 4, I'm going to do appointments. That's appointments. So now all of a sudden, now you're trying to book appointments in your appointment time. Instead of just saying somebody, when do you want to get together? Now you might change the schedule. You might open up space for appointments on Tuesday night and Thursday night, or, you pick it. I'm just throwing one up there to show you how it works. And then you say, 4 to 5, I'm going to clean things up. And then maybe say, I want to go home for dinner. So let me tell you about, his name is Anthony Caputo. And I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. And his schedule is basically this. And he just follows sort of our system. Is he said, I get to the office around 9:30 because he wakes up, spends time with his kids, drives his kids to school every day. He said from 9:30 to 12, my whole goal is to be reaching out to people. I am sending emails, text, right? Making phone calls, right? Responding to people on social media. It's all it is there is I'm trying to get an appointment. I'm following up on all of my leads. And then he says every day at 12 o'clock, then I go home for lunch. So he goes home for lunch for an hour every day, has lunch with his wife. Then he said, when I go back in the afternoon is for appointments and the evenings for appointments. So what he does, he goes home from 5 to 7 every day. So all afternoon, he's trying to get out and see people face to face. And then if he can't see them during the day, then he goes see them after 7 o'clock at night because he wants to have dinner with his wife and his family. And so I said to him when I was interviewing him, and this is a relatively new agent that's over 30 deals this year. So I said to him, I said, well, like how often do you stay on schedule? He said about 80% of the time. But he said the secret for me is that I wake up every day and I look at my schedule. And if somebody wants to see me, I try to fit them into when I do appointments. So I can't see them in the morning. Right? I don't want to, because I don't want to negotiate offers in the morning because that's my business generating time. And he said, when you taught me that, and when I became disciplined to that, he goes, I changed my business. He goes, because now I know what I'm doing every day. I'm living proactively, not reactively. Okay, idea number 5 is this. This is probably the most important one of all. You need to invest in your most valuable assets. And it should say asset, I'm sorry, because that is you. Right? So I want you to think about this. When you get into real estate, first of all, do you remember why you get into real estate? And I'm going to challenge you in a very respectful way, of course, to say that you get into real estate because you wanted 2 freedoms. And I'm going to say the first freedom is you wanted freedom of time. You get into real estate because, I can go to work when I want, I can go home when I want, that sort of thing. A lot of people get into real estate because they want freedom of time. Now, sometimes that holds us back from being successful because we have too much freedom of time, right? And the second freedom we want is we want freedom of what? Freedom of money. So most people get into real estate because they want to have more time and they want to have more money. which is a beautiful thing, right? I go, why not, right? That's a great idea. But then after a year or so or two, how are you doing with your two freedoms? Well, not so good. You know what I mean? Like, and what's happening is they don't control their business controls them. They're working more than they've ever worked before and making a hell of a lot less than they'd like to make. Well, why is that, right? Why is it? Because there is a system, there is a way. And it's because they don't follow a system. It's because they're not trained. It's because they don't invest in themselves. Now, I'm singing to the choir a little bit because you're on this webinar, right? So obviously you're interested in training, but if you really think about it, how much time do we spend learning about systems, learning about better ways to do it so we can produce better results? And in most cases, we probably don't spend enough, okay? So there's 4 C's that I want to take you through that I believe that if everybody could master these 4 C's, okay, this leads to success. Because I just put this together about 6 months ago, and I was sitting at home, I was doing some content development. And I'm thinking to myself, when I really look at successful people, like we coach people that are making millions of dollars a year, millions. We coach people that are new, right? So the whole gamut sort of thing. But I was thinking, when I'm looking at really successful people, even people that I know outside of real estate, I thought, what is it? What causes them to be successful? And there's 4 C's. So the first one is this. The first one is commitment. What I see with successful people is they have a massive commitment to success. They have a massive commitment to what it is they do, right? They're not interested in success. They're committed to success. Because commitment makes everything work, right? You know, when you're committed, you'll find a way. When you're not, you'll find an excuse. That's us as human beings. That's the way we function, right? And a lot of people, they say, I'm going to give real estate a try. But I go, I don't think you're going to give real estate a try. I think real estate's going to try you. You never hear doctors say, I'm going to give it a try, right? The doctor says, I'm going to be a doctor. And then they spend 7 years and tons of money becoming a doctor. See, that's commitment, right? The barrier of entry is high, so they make a commitment. But in real estate, the barrier of entry is relatively low. So the first thing we got to do, and by the way, we can't commit to everything, everybody. You got to decide, what am I committed to, right? Like, you know, I'm committed to my marriage. Like for me, I'm talking about right now, I'm very committed to my marriage, right? I'm very committed to, you know, the company and the way we serve and what we do as an organization. I'm very committed to trying to stay in pretty good health and as a father, and pretty well beyond that, nothing really else, right? I like golf, but I'm not committed to it, right? But they're the few things that I'm committed to. So those things will always get my attention first. But once we become committed, then the second thing we got to do is we got to be highly curious. Now, why do I say curious? Because when I look at successful people, when I was just, you know, thinking about the people I knew, they're always learning. See, they're always trying to figure out a better way. And it's interesting because when I look at these people, they know what it is they know now has gotten them where they are. But the question is, what do they need to learn to get where they want to go? You know, like people could be one skill away from doubling their business. They could be one idea away from doubling their business. You know, when they see a successful agent, are they curious about that successful agent or are they envious? You know, envious is a negative emotion. Curiosity is a positive emotion, right? If you're curious, you go say, hey, how do you do it? Will you have lunch with me? I want to figure it out. That's curiosity. We're always trying to figure it out. We know that we don't know what it takes to get where we want to go. That's curiosity. You know, my dad used to say to me all the time, he used to say, son, live in a state of curiosity, not a state of judgment, because a state of judgment is a state of stall. A curiosity is a state of growth. I mean, he said it to me all the time. And number 3, then we got to have courage. We got to have courage because, see, once we become committed to something, and then we know we've got to take action. And we learn that from the curiosity. But now we got to go and take action. And it might scare us a little bit. Like maybe we got to do our first video. Maybe we got to knock on our first door. You know, maybe we got to do our first open house. I don't know what it is, but if you really think about it right now, what is it that scares you that if you know you would overcome, would catapult your business to new levels? Because somebody's going to win, right? Either fear is going to win or you're going to win. And I always say that I think what lies between where we are and our dreams is fear. Now, courage isn't absence of fear. Courage is doing it anyway, right? And the cool thing about when you start to do it, then what happens is fear dissipates, right? As soon as you start moving towards fear, it sort of gets out of the way. you know, you start knocking at a couple doors, all of a sudden it's pretty easy to do. Make a few phone calls, do a video. It just becomes normal after a little while. And here's what happens, everybody. When you commit to something and you have the curiosity to study it, to learn it, okay, to get better, and when you have the courage to go take new action, you develop something which is called confidence. And confidence to me is what all successful people have. When I look at a successful human being, they walk with confidence, they talk with confidence, they look confident. When you look at these people, they have confidence. Well, you say, well, where did it come from? Did they buy confidence? No. Did the new car give them confidence? No. Did a new house give them confidence? No. Confidence came from the first three. See, confidence came from them making a commitment to something and saying, come hell or high water, I'm going to do it, right? That's my goal. I'm going to make it happen. Then what they do is say, I might not know how to get there, but I'm going to figure it out because I'm going to be really curious, right? I'm going to study it, right? I'm going to figure this baby out. Because when you set a goal, when you want to go somewhere you've never been before, that's sort of what I call in conflict with the status quo. You know, you're here, right? You've come from here and you've got to here and you want to go to here. Well, that means you've never taken this road before, right? This is all new territory right here. And so the question is, I got to learn what I need to do to get here. And that's where the curiosity. But then as I step into this new territory, as I move outside of my comfort zone, because all growth takes outside of our comfort zone, it requires courage. And when I make a commitment and I always remain curious and I'm always learning and I have the courage to take action, what does it develop in me? It develops confidence. And see, confidence comes from the inside out. It doesn't come from the outside in. As I said, you can't buy it, right? Confidence has to be earned. And when you have confidence, people buy confidence. They believe in you and your confidence. And I'm not talking about arrogance. That's a whole different thing, right? But I'm just talking confidence, just that quiet confidence. Because now you know, when you do this on a regular basis, you follow this, commit to something, get real curious, always have courage, your confidence just keeps going up. And as your confidence goes up, you will naturally become more successful, right? Because you naturally start to take more chances and move out into the world in a different way. And you just show up in a different way. You look different, right? You act different. People receive you differently, which is a really cool thing. So what I want to do, I've taken you through the 5 ideas. I hope they were helpful. I'm glad to take your questions. But before I do that, I do want to mention our Masters Academy. And Masters Academy is really designed to do everything we just talked about to a large degree. And we have one coming up November 27th and 28th, and it's just north of Toronto. It's 407 and Highway 7. Now, this is a 2-day event, and this is like the biggest buffet of information and ideas you've ever seen. Like, if you're curious, we're going to fill your curiosity right here. And we've been doing this for 20 years. This actually is our 20th year that we've been in business. We obviously got to be doing something right or we still wouldn't be in business. So a few things that you'll learn at this event, and these are just a few. There's tons and tons. Number one, how to effectively negotiate anything. We talk about how to negotiate, how to master working with buyers, okay, how to double your referrals, how to take control of your business life and time. I actually just wrote a new time system that I'll be teaching there. Marketing that matters, how to effectively use video, sales and technology, how to balance the two. In breakthrough growth strategies. So they're like literally just a few of the things that we teach. And how do we get this information to you? So basically, I'm obviously one of the speakers that I'm there, and I probably spend about half of the time with you, taking you through some of the ideas. And all of these ideas weren't invented by me. I learned my ideas from 29 people that I call MAC, Masters Advisory Council. And these are some of the top agents that we coach. I don't coach them personally, but they're coached by people in our organization. That's just a picture of the event right there to give you an idea what it looks like. But they're coached by our organization. But I talk to them once a month in 3 groups of 9 each. And what we're sharing is the best ideas that are working in the markets that they're in. Okay, so even new technologies. So you can see we have some fun there. We're waking everybody up with some beach balls and having a good time. But what we also do is we have something called Genius Interviews, and we have these panels. And the panels, each person I have on panel, I want them to teach you one idea. So to give you an idea, Ken Healy, he's a great guy, lives out by Edmonton. And Ken Healy did 20 deals last year from Facebook groups, like from one idea. And that's what I'm looking for, one idea. So what I would do with each panelist that I bring up on stage, I'll say to them, okay, what is your idea? And Ken Healy would say, doing deals from Facebook groups. I go, what is your result? And he said, I did 20 deals last year from Facebook groups. And I would say, exactly how did you do it? Tell me how you did it, okay? There was somebody else we had last year, her name was Kate Miller. Kate Miller made almost it was $283,000. She's a Royal LePage on the North Shore of Vancouver by setting up her own networking group that meets every single week, okay? There's your panels right there. There's Kate Miller right there. And so she made almost $300,000 from one source. So this is a lightning round where she takes 20 minutes. She explains, here's the idea, here's the results, and here's how I produce those results. So this is like, I mean, this is a fire hose of information. A lot of the ideas you're not going to use because they won't suit your personality. But I promise you this, when you come to this event, you're going to get tons and tons of ideas, actionable ideas that will produce results in your business. So what is the investment? And then what are we going to do today for Royal LePage? Because we are going to do something really cool. So if we look at the regular pricing, it's $698 for regular admission, $698. And we do have a Premier VIP, which is $1198, but I don't want to talk much about that today. I just want to work on the regular. If you want to know more about Premier, you can always call our office. But what we're going to do today is with Royal LePage, because we do have a working relationship with you, you can register for the event for $498, okay? And we'll take $200 off the Premier to at $998. But what we're also going to do, and I don't know if you can see me or not, but I have these form buyer and seller guides. And I'm going to, we're going to make these available to you today. So 8 steps to becoming an informed seller, choosing the best agent for the job, pricing your house, whoops, back in, I'll lose you here. Pricing your house to profit more, prepare to amaze, maximum exposure, show it off, okay? Negotiate like a master, calculate your net proceeds. This is where you put your content in here. You add some testimonials here. You know, at the back, we got calculating the net proceeds, describe the 10 things you love most about your house. But I've also got the informed buyer guide, okay? Same thing, 8 steps to finding the right home. So right here, deciding where and what, we've got a 2-page questionnaire they can fill out to give you all the information, what they're looking for as a house. You know, getting pre-approved for a mortgage, choosing the right realtor, becoming an educated buyer, you know, so it takes them through all the steps, right? Glossary, frequently asked questions, and these inform guides, okay? We just finished, these ones are brand new. We just finished these. And then what we also have is we have something called 5 one-sheets. So do looks really matter, okay? And you can send these digitally, or you can have them printed like this. And these are one-sheets you can load up on your website. Pricing your home right is critical, home buyer search tips to find your dream home, negotiating know-how, and 5 reasons most home buyers choose to work with an agent. So imagine this. Imagine if you had these digitally and somebody inquired about buying a house and you could just, you know, give them all the information back. Maybe it's an online need, and then you send digitally one of these. Okay, so another 5 reasons most home buyers choose to work with an agent, or whatever one you want. Or maybe you send them an informed buyer's guide, or maybe a seller's guide, or maybe you load these up on your website and people can download these, but they have to leave you their contact information. So they're also lead gen. You print these, take these to open houses, deliver these before you're going to meet with a buyer, deliver this before you're going to meet with a seller. There's many ways this content can be used. So what we're going to do, if you register for the event, and this is only for today, just so you know, when we send your confirmation of registration, we are also going to send you the files with these documents in it. And just so you know, these books, okay, are completely editable. So in other words, right here, editable, that's better, editable. So in other words, insert your logo here, okay, insert. It gives you instructions on exactly, you know, where you should insert your contact information. Same down here. And you can change the text if you don't like it. So you read through it, but if you don't like it, you can just change some of the text. See logo here, you put your contact information down here. So they're all set and they're ready to go. And as I said, we just redid these guides just about 6 weeks ago. So they're all brand new. So you can get those today. So if you're interested, here's how you register. You can either call us, or what you can do is you can go to our website, richardrobbins.com. I will admit, about an hour ago, our website went down. The company's working on it. So hopefully it's back up by now. And if you put in RLP, the price will drop down to the price we just talked about right here. We're going to leave that up to the end of the day so that you have lots of time to do that. So you can go online and in the promo code, price will drop, or you can call the office. There's lots of people in here who would be glad to answer any of your questions. Excuse me. Okay, so listen, Mike, that's all I have, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me, and I just hope I was helpful for you today.
Yeah, I mean, the one question I have was like, how do I sign up? And I was like, he'll get to it. Hang on. But I'll leave that up there. I do have a question of just, I've already signed up and it was $6.98 for 2. How can I get the marketing material? This is from Joan Charette with Royal LePage Binder. I assume if she calls in.
Yeah. So what happened, just so you know, over the summer, we offered, we've never done it before, and it was very successful. We offered a 2-for-1. So some people could buy 2 tickets for the price of $6.98, and then that stopped September 1st. So that's obviously she took advantage of. It didn't come with all this content, obviously, right? But we'll honor that. If she wants to call in the office, let us know. We'll send her out the content, and we look forward to seeing her in November.
I had a question for you, actually, myself. And again, I'm going to encourage people. You know, we know we're just at 3 o'clock right now. I encourage you guys to, you know, again, appreciate likes and shares. Never hurts to give a thumbs up. But I'd love to hear any questions you guys have in the chat. I had a question for you that I've gotten sometimes in training that I've done on the road, and especially when I go out to more remote areas, is people who say, you know, you talked a lot about getting face-to-face. Get face-to-face with somebody every day. And sometimes when I meet with agents and we're talking to them and they say, oh, you know, I run into people in the mall, or I run into people at the grocery store. And you know, I always tell them it's not very purposeful. Like they're not seeing that as you reaching out to them. I wanted to know in your, I mean, you know, in your experience, you know, do you think there's much value in that?
Well, I look at it this way. I say, listen, you should be prospecting all the time, right? So when you're having a conversation with somebody, you meet them in the mall, you meet them at Starbucks, Tim Hortons, whatever the case is, you know, you don't want to be aggressive, but they probably know what you do for a living or whatever the case is. And if you feel comfortable, you can say, you know, boy, the market's really busy right now. I'm just wondering, do you have any real estate needs I might be able to help you with? Do you know anybody? That sort of thing. But I don't think that should be your main strategy. I think, you know, the people you meet in the mall, you know, chances are they might not be thinking of buying or selling a house. They're just a prospect. Think about this. The difference between, I say the difference between prospecting and lead follow-up. So prospecting is when you're looking for a lead. And the example would be you're sending out those text messages I just mentioned to you, Mike, right? You're looking for a lead. That's what you're doing. That's prospecting. Lead follow-up is when you're trying to book an appointment. You already know they're a prospect. Yeah. Right? So to me, when you meet somebody in a mall or in the Tim Hortons, you're prospecting. When you try to set a face-to-face appointment, that's lead follow-up. You're confirming it with a lead, right? They got to have a when, where, or why, right? So there's the difference. And I think a lot of people, they don't see the difference between prospecting and lead follow-up. So lead follow-up is phoning people that are already a lead and trying to set a face-to-face appointment. I hope that answered your question.
It answers my question, and that's something that I'm always, because they always push back on it. Oh, I don't need to send stuff for it, and I'm like, nah, that's okay, that's nice, but
well,
know, I think
I know, but here's the issue, and I hear it all the time, obviously, right? I hear it all the time as well. Some people are afraid to be a great salesperson. Like they're just afraid to be a great salesperson. Well, you know, I live in a small market, and you know, it's not my thing, and that's okay. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's going to limit your opportunities. It's going to limit your income. But you know, like, and a lot of people are unbelievable at customer service. Well, you can hire a customer service rep for next to nothing. It's a great salespeople that make the money. Now, I'm not talking about being annoying or bugging people. I'm just saying, if I send a text, make a phone call, go, you know, hey, Mike, Richard Robbins calling. You know, I just want to check up. How are you and your wife doing? You go, we're really doing okay. And I might say, boy, the market's been going through a lot of change lately. I just wanted to reach out and see if you guys have any real estate needs this year. You go, no, we're good. And then I go on with more of a casual conversation. That's all I'm doing. What's wrong with that? That's what all business people do, right? That's what all salespeople do.
What I always tell the agents that I always say, I love hearing from my realtor. I love when she reaches out. I love talking with her, and I love dipping into her expertise. I love that. I just want to let you know, Kim McKay from Royal LePage Real Estate Services Limited in Oakville personally wanted to say hi, but also said she just ordered online. Everything worked. Everything's good.
Oh, thank you, Kim. I'm so happy to hear that, because we're all freaking out when we started this webinar. You know, we're sitting around, what a time for a website to go down. So obviously they got it up. I knew they were working on it.
Yeah. Other than, I mean, I'm looking. I'm encouraging people to type in questions. So I guess I'll give it a quick moment. Like I said, I had that one. I know, you know, again, as usual, Richard, like there was so much chat going on, and then you started getting into the content, and it was just like whoosh, everything dried up, and I was like, oh, all right. I think people are. I know. Like I say, I always take a lot of notes. All right, let's see. There we go. Some people. Oh, the whole Brett Smiley team's going to be attending. That's awesome.
Good.
That is awesome. Let's have a look at this one here. So we, as a newer agent, I find it challenging to get people into the office without some sort of value incentive. What is the best way to get people into the office? Let's have a look here and see. This is coming from, so Andrew Newton from Royal LePage Kelowna out in BC, just asking that, getting people in the office as a newer agent.
Well, we have a lot of great clients in Kelowna. Patrine is in his office, I think. So here's the deal. I think agents should do listing presentations and buyer presentations in their office. Now, when I say that, a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy.
You're crazy.
Yeah, how do you price a house, right? But what you do is you go look at the house beforehand, because when you go to somebody's house, you lose control. The TV's on, the kids are running around, only one person sitting at the table. Now, I understand this can't be done all the time, but you know, it is a lot of our, you know, more productive agents, they have gone that way. So when I look at bringing a buyer in the office, you have to be doing a needs analysis, and there has to be some value for them to come to your office, right? So you got to look at it and say, well, if they come to my office, what am I going to offer them? So first of all, I'm going to do a needs analysis, right? First of all, we'll be able to sit there, maybe on a TV on the wall, and walk them through all the houses available, right? So there has to be a reason for them to come in. So again, you've got to find the qualified prospect first, because if somebody wants to buy or somebody wants to sell, then they're okay to talk with a real estate agent, right? Otherwise, you got to be going out to them and prospecting until you get a lead, and then invite them into the office, okay, for the needs analysis, and take them through what they're going to learn when they come in to see you. So I think some people try to get people in the office, but they're not great prospects. That's an issue too. So you got to qualify.
There you go. Nice. Thank you. Let's see. I'm just going to we'll give another minute or so to, I know you have, you know, you also, just so you guys know what happens is I set this all up with Richard's people, and then Richard comes in about a minute before, sits down, puts in the headphones, and just goes. So it's impressive to watch him turn it on. And but I want to be mindful of his time as well. I know I'm sure you have. I know, as I mentioned, the carpenters are waiting to get back to doing their work as well, which is a lot.
Yeah, actually, this is okay. You'll enjoy this. I got to show everybody this. Can you see? This is my office. Everybody, look at the mess. You see it all? So what we've done, we've just taken over basically the whole floor that we're on, and we have stuff everywhere right now. Quite honestly, I've been working out of the house, but I come in here because the internet's better.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you doing that. I really, really appreciate it. And looks, you really picked the best angles. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks okay here, doesn't it? When you start going like, boy, look at this place.
Yeah. I saw the other side too, and it was like, it's fine. What's going on? What are you talking about?
That guy works in. Look at this.
Hey, block some of the time out to clean your office, Rich. Come on, man, get it together. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions. I see Andrew's pointing out, just saying thanks. I'll bring up the slides again one more time. Check out richardrobbins.com. Use the promo code RLP, 1-800-298-9587. I actually wanted to mention also, one of the things you mentioned is BombBomb, and I see a few people dropping off, but we actually signed a partnership agreement with BombBomb as well. So Royal LePage agents can actually get preferable pricing with BombBomb, and we're working with them to actually deliver a webinar in November. Good. So it ties in really nicely with what we were talking about. And, I know I've gotten BombBomb videos from your team before as well. Yeah. So I want to say thank you so much, Rich. As always, I love your webinars. They're always a lot of fun. I want to thank you so much with all the chaos and everything going on to sit down and give some awesome ideas and really value on getting that extra piece of the pie. And I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. Again, if you know somebody who you think could benefit, hey, share. I know, again, we like to keep it close. You go, hey, I was the one who took the time, but at the same time, feel free to share it. You guys won't do it. You guys that's what the problem. They're like, no, I spent the time. I'm here. I took the notes. Forget the rest of them. But, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love it. And I hope you guys will tune in again next month for our next sales success webinar. So until then, see ya.